Have you ever felt her pulling away, but every time you bring it up, she flips the script so smoothly you question your own reality? That's not just miscommunication, that's manipulation. And if you miss it, the cost is brutal. Wasted years, drained confidence, broken trust that may never fully return. The truth is, before she cheats, most women use the same psychological tricks. They sound harmless, they even sound mature, but underneath, they're designed to create distance while she prepares her escape. In this video, I'll walk you through the 4 exact lies you must recognize because spotting them early could mean the difference between protecting your heart or losing yourself in the process. As a psychologist and relationship coach who has spent years working with men blindsided by betrayal, I can tell you these lies are not random. They follow a precise pattern I've heard many times in private sessions. And before we dig into the details, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and share in the comments the moment you first realize something wasn't right. Your story could help another man connect the dots. Now let's begin. Because the first lie women tell sounds harmless, but it's the seed that grows into betrayal. Number 1, I just haven't been in the mood lately. Men, let's cut through the fog. I just haven't been in the mood lately. Sounds damn reasonable. Work is brutal, deadlines pile up, hormones fluctuate, sleep is a rumor every man alive understands. Exhaustion. So you nod. You try to be patient. You swallow your doubt because being understanding feels noble. But here's the truth you're not supposed to hear. If the explanation is always fatigue, yet the distance keeps growing, you're not dealing with a rough week. You're staring at strategy. Real love does not retreat under pressure. It seeks closeness, even in exhaustion. When a woman is bonded to you, tired nights look like softer nights. Slower kisses, quiet cuddles, her head on your chest to borrow your calm. She may not want fireworks, but she still wants you. So when closeness becomes a chore, when your touch is treated like a task, you're not witnessing self-care. You're watching suchuan jiao hamuan transfer of desire. Intimacy with you begins to feel disloyal to someone else because she's protecting a new attachment. Your arms are no longer home, they're conflict. That's why rejection starts to carry a moral edge. She acts offended by your normal desire, as if your needs are a problem to solve. And then comes the contradiction you cannot ignore, the glow-up paradox. With you, she's too drained. For the world, she's suddenly incandescent. New gym routine at dawn, fresh hair, new nails, upgraded skincare. A sharper wardrobe appears, fitted dresses, heels that hadn't left the box in years, lingerie that never seems to make it into your evenings. Selfies resurface, angles practiced, filters dialed. Fragrance returns with a vengeance. Energy appears where attention is wanted. That surge is not random. It is investment, just not in you. Case study, David, 42, project lead. For months he accepted, I'm tired, work is crazy. It sounded compassionate to give space, so he did. But the data didn't match. Her calendar stayed full for spin class, for after-work drinks, for a girls' weekend that materialized while their date nights vanished. At home, she flinched from a simple back rub. Yet online, she bloomed new outfits, playful captions, late-night comments. When he reached out, she gave him policy statements about boundaries. When the world reached out, she gave it sparkle. David wasn't reading a mystery. He was reading redistribution of desire. This is the part most men miss because you're decent and you want to believe her. You tell yourself that patience is love, that understanding will heal. But patience does not reverse a transfer of desire. In fact, excessive patience often protects it. Your low demands create a shield behind which the new bond strengthens. Your repeated empathy becomes the cover story that lets the drift continue without consequence. Look at the body language, not the speeches. With you, rigid shoulders, hesitant breath, lips that tilt away at the last second, affection that feels like an invoice. With the outside world, posture that lengthens, eyes that light, a sudden appetite for novelty, restaurants, playlists, plans. Bodies broadcast the truth before mouths arrange the words. If her nervous system relaxes everywhere except in your presence, you already have your answer. Here is the brutal replacement for your confusion. Stop trying to fix what her choices are actively breaking. Don't argue, don't beg, don't campaign for intimacy, just observe. Track the pattern over weeks, not hours. Note the ratio of rejection to effort, the timing of tired against the spikes of social energy, the surge in exterior presentation alongside the collapse of private warmth. Patterns are the prosecution that never lies. And while you observe, do not apologize for having normal needs. Your desire for your partner is not a flaw. It is a barometer. Scaling back your intimate giving is not punishment, it is clarity. You are stepping out of the role of provider on demand and into the role of evaluator. If closeness returns on its own, you'll see it uncoached, unforced, consistent. If it doesn't, you'll spare yourself months of self-erasure. Understand this isn't about hating her, it's about respecting you. If she is moving her energy elsewhere, your job is not to become nicer, quieter, more patient. Your job is to read reality. The moment you stop debating her script and start measuring her actions, the spell breaks. You wake up, you get your time back, you hold your line. So take this as your directive. Don't argue, don't beg, just observe. If her mouth says no mood while her life shouts high voltage, accept the message. Withdraw your overinvestment, reclaim your schedule, stand up your standards. The right woman may be exhausted, but she will never be too exhausted to seek your steady closeness. The wrong woman will ask you to betray yourself by pretending you don't notice. Choose clarity, protect your dignity, and move accordingly. You ask a perfectly reasonable question, where were you last night? And in 3 seconds, the scene flips. Raised voice, charged words, and suddenly you're the problem. That isn't clumsiness. That is a clever deflection engineered to cast you as the bad actor before an answer ever lands. One moment you're seeking clarity, the next you're defending your character. If that whiplash feels deliberate, it's because it often is. We'll set a hard rule of relationships: clarity, not combat. When someone has nothing to hide, the nervous system stays steady. They answer, they reassure, they add simple details, time, place, who was there, without you prying. That is what transparency looks like in the wild: ease. But when the truth risks exposure, offense becomes the best defense. The spotlight must be dragged off the behavior and thrown onto you, your tone, your insecurity, your controlling nature. The content of your question disappears. Now the conversation is a moral trial about your identity. This is not random, it's calculated. It is deflection by attack. You need to draw a bright line between acts of care and toxic control. Acts of care are baseline, asking where a partner was, who they were with, why they came home late, especially if the pattern is new. Those questions are the grease that keeps trust from grinding. Toxic control is different. Demanding passwords, GPS tracking, policing friendships. Don't let the latter be used as a smear to silence the former. A healthy partner distinguishes curiosity from surveillance. An evasive partner blurs them on purpose. Here's how the script runs when avoidance is the goal. You pose a straightforward question. Rather than respond, she escalates. Volume rises, accusations arrive, and the conversation mutates into a character assassination. You're suffocating, you're paranoid, you're controlling. Under that barrage, most decent men retreat. You apologize for asking, not for doing anything wrong. That apology is not harmless, it is programming. Each time you back off, you are being trained to silence your instincts. So the behavior you noticed never has to face daylight. I've seen this hundreds of times in session. A client asks calmly, Who was texting you during dinner? No name calling, no demand. The response? Explosion, tears. I can't live like this. You don't trust me. Within minutes, he's promising to work on himself, to be less controlling, to ask fewer questions. Weeks later, he learns what the nervous system knew on day one. The messages matched a story he was never meant to see. Attack wasn't emotion, it was strategy. When truth threatens exposure, offense reclaims control. So hold your frame and return to the rule: clarity, not combat. A partner who is honest may be surprised, even annoyed by the timing, but they answer. They do not require you to litigate your character to earn basic information. They don't need you to feel small for the relationship to feel safe. If every reasonable request for context gets spun into a morality play about you, you're not too controlling, you're being manipulated. Your countermeasure is simple and decisive. Stop arguing. Stop defending your right to ask. Name what is happening and refuse the role you're being assigned. You can say, level and calm, I'm asking for clarity. Clarity builds trust. If you choose to accuse instead of answer, that's your choice. Then stop. Let the silence sit. Do not follow her detour. The moment you chase the accusation, you abandon the question, and that is the point of the attack. Understand the psychological aim here: to rewire your mind so you preemptively censor yourself. If she can make you equate curiosity with abuse, you will police your own voice and never risk a question again. That is how men end up living in confusion for months, sometimes years, while telling themselves they're working on being less controlling. You are not unstable for wanting basic orientation in your own relationship. You are saying, if you need a litmus test, use this. After you ask, does the conversation move toward facts or toward your flaws? Toward timelines or toward theater? Healthy pairs navigate facts and then feelings. Evasive pairs stage feelings to drown facts. Do not be impressed by volume, tears, or theatrical exhaustion. Measure outcomes. Either you leave with meaningful clarity or you leave with manufactured guilt. Here is your declaration to carry forward. Questions build trust, accusations destroy it. If your partner consistently converts your reasonable questions into attacks on your character, the guilt you feel is not born from your insecurity. It is radiating from her fear of being found out. Hold that line. You are not required to apologize for protecting the integrity of your life. So this is your move as a man who respects himself. Keep your voice steady. Ask the question once. If you are met with a storm, don't wade into it. Step out of it. I'm available for answers, not accusations. Then disengage. Return when calm returns. Your dignity does not negotiate with the deflection. Your sanity does not sit trial for asking what any adult can answer in 60 seconds. Stay clear, stay firm, and never let a rehearsed accusation bury the simple truth you came to learn. She says, I just want us to be honest with each other, and for a second your chest loosens. It sounds perfect. It sounds like the bridge back to safety. Every decent man wants that. No games, no half-truths, just clean air between you. But here's the brutal decode. What looks like a peace treaty can be a trap. This isn't a request for honesty. It's selective honesty, openness staged like a theater set, bright lights on your life while the curtains stay closed on hers. It looks like transparency, but it's actually control in disguise. Watch how the mechanism works. After the grand speech about truth, she turns the spotlight on you. She just wants to understand you. So she digs childhood injuries, your first heartbreak, your shame stories, who hurt you and where you bleed. You talk because you're a good man, and this sounds like intimacy. You hand over the keys to your inner rooms. Meanwhile, her sharing arrives as polished fragments, a curated anecdote, a safe confession that earns sympathy, a carefully edited timeline with the important names blurred out. She's not lying outright, she's rationing. You're being fed scraps of transparency, enough to keep you hopeful, never enough to satisfy the hunger for clarity. And the moment you flip it back with a basic question, Who were you out with? Why the sudden late nights? Why is your phone always face down? The music changes. You're told you're prying. You're told you're not trusting. Your very desire for honesty gets used against you as proof that you're the problem. I've seen this pattern in countless men's stories because it feels so reasonable at the start. Consider Evan, a 42-year-old high school teacher who sat in my office with that thin, tired look men wear when they've been arguing with their own instincts. His partner announced a new chapter of radical honesty. She cried with him about her rough childhood, held his hand while he admitted the mistakes he still regrets, encouraged him to let it all out. He did. He felt light. Then he asked, gently, about a new friend at work who seemed to keep appearing in her calendar. Instantly, the air turned sharp. I can't believe you don't trust me after everything I've shared, she said. Why can't you just appreciate how open I've been? In 2 minutes, Evan went from seeking balance to apologizing for wanting parity. Weeks later, he learned that the new friend had been important all along. The radical honesty had been a curated exhibit, a guided tour with velvet ropes and do not touch signs around the only artifacts that mattered. Understand the psychology. Selective honesty is a two-way device. First, it harvests intel your triggers, your loyalties, the stories that will silence you if thrown back at you. Second, it manufactures moral leverage. I've shared so much, how dare you need more? The result is control without chains. She doesn't need to forbid questions outright. She trains you to feel guilty for asking them. You'll bite your tongue because you don't want to be that guy. You'll call your confusion growth. You'll call your anxiety compassion. Meanwhile, the crucial truths, the ones that would set off every alarm you have, stay behind the rope. Here is your contrast test. Real honesty has a felt sense to it. It flows both ways and leaves both of you steadier. Questions receive answers that reduce friction, not speeches that create fog. Real honesty doesn't arrive with a ration book. It doesn't punish you for wanting the full meal. Selective honesty does the opposite. It keeps you full of facts about you and starving for facts about her. It makes you walk out of honest conversations feeling like you're the crazy one for wanting names, timelines, and plain answers. If the aftermath of her openness is that you feel unsafe, uncertain, or indebted for daring to ask, you're not in honesty, you're in a strategy. So you need a filter that cannot be gamed. Ask yourself, after all this honesty, do I feel secure or do I feel like I'm losing my mind for wanting clarity? Does her version of truth settle my nervous system or does it spin me into bargaining for crumbs? If it's crumbs, recognize the play. You are being managed. Your values are being used as a leash. Your move is not to argue, beg, or draft a new speech about fairness. Your move is to measure. Does disclosure travel in both directions with roughly equal weight? Or is it a one-way flood with a dam the minute you approach her present tense behavior? When you ask a simple, relevant question, do you get details or drama? If you state calmly, I'm looking for mutual clarity, do you receive it or are you shamed for asking? These are not philosophical inquiries. They are structural tests. And structures don't lie. Men, hear this clearly. Real honesty is mutual, not selective. It is not dispensed like medicine to keep you compliant. It is not a performance that wins your sympathy while hiding the scene behind the curtain. It does not feed you crumbs and call you greedy for wanting dinner. If her honesty consistently makes you feel more confused, more guilty, and more hesitant to ask basic questions, that's not intimacy. That's disguised control. Step back, trust what the conversation leaves in your body. And before you hand over more of yourself, ask the only question that matters. Does this honesty make me feel safe or make me feel crazy for wanting the truth? This is the turning point, the moment you're tempted to argue, to demand answers, to pace the floor and turn yourself into a detective. That impulse feels righteous, but it drags you deeper into her frame. The more you chase, the more you look insecure, the more you debate her words, the more you feed her excuses. While you're wrestling with sentences, she's already speaking fluently through behavior somewhere else. I'm asking you to upgrade roles. Step out of the detective costume and become the disciplined observer. Here's the gentleman's response strategy, your golden rule. Don't argue, don't chase, just observe. Actions never lie. Let behavior be the evidence, not adrenaline. When you remove the tug of war, you stop supplying the rope. She can sell a story only if you stand there buying it in real time. Apply it one claim at a time. If she says, I just haven't been in the mood, you don't plead, negotiate, or run diagnostics on your worth. You watch the contrast. Does she still reach for small closeness, hands, eyes, quiet time? Or has touch with you gone cold while her energy for the outside world surges? New workouts, fresh selfies, extra attention to appearance. If warmth shrinks at home while performance expands in public, the data points in one direction. When she says, I just want to focus on myself, don't beg to be included in her growth. Observe whether genuine improvement naturally invites you in updates. Share goals, future planning, or whether this work on me requires distance from you and secrecy around timelines. True growth integrates the partner. Counterfeit growth needs isolation to breathe. If you hear you're being too controlling, don't launch into a closing argument. Ask yourself a simple calibration question. Were your questions basic, relationship level, clarity, where, when, who? Or were you trying to micromanage? If they were basic and you got character assassination instead of clear answers, you just witnessed deflection, not dialogue. And if she declares, I just want us to be honest with each other, take a step back and measure symmetry, does disclosure flow both ways at similar depth? Or are you on the confession stand while she curates highlight reels and redacts the present tense? Real honesty reduces fog. Selective honesty manufactures it. Now, the most important piece, your gut is data, not paranoia. Your nervous system collects patterns long before your mind writes paragraphs. When everything she says sounds tidy, but your chest feels heavy, trust your chest. That pressure is your radar blaring. Something here doesn't match. Don't smother it with overthinking. Use it to slow down, widen the lens, and record what happens without your prompting. Patterns, frequency, timing, escalation, avoidance will tell a cleaner story than any late night debate ever will. Understand the power you gain when you refuse to perform. You're not stonewalling, you're stabilizing. You're exiting the carnival mirror of explanations and letting the light hit the facts. You note lateness that repeats, intimacy that retreats, self-care that excludes you, honesty that never reciprocates. You hold your center and give time the chance to speak. If the pattern is innocent, transparency will rise and closeness will return without force. If it isn't, the distance will widen on its own and you'll see it without shouting. Remember this declaration: a healthy relationship does not require you to be a detective. Love that is right for you feels safe, not confusing. It invites your questions and answers them with steadiness, not theatrics. So adopt the rule like a creed. Don't argue, don't chase, just observe, step back 2 paces and let actions testify. If she is aligned, her behavior will move toward you. If she isn't, she'll expose herself with her actions. Either way, you win your clarity without losing your dignity. In the end, your instincts will save you long before her words ever will. Brothers, let's etch this into the wall and take it home. We've mapped the 4 lies, now stamp them with clarity. Number 1, I just haven't been in the mood. That's not stress. It's desire shifting away from you and toward elsewhere. Number 2, I just want to focus on myself. That's not noble self-growth. It's strategic distancing dressed up as personal development. Number 3, you're being too controlling. That's not your insecurity. It's a deflection engineered to turn your basic questions into an indictment of your character. Number 4, I just want us to be honest with each other. That's not transparency. It's selective honesty, handing you scraps while the core truth stays locked behind the curtain. Now, the manifesto. The right woman will never require you to be a detective in your own relationship. She won't make you prove what love should reveal on its own. She won't punish you for wanting closeness or label simple clarity as an attack. With the right woman, love is easy to see, not impossible to prove. It shows up in consistent presence, in matching words and actions, in answers that calm rather than confuse. Here's your winning formula, and it's not complicated. You don't win by arguing, and you don't win by begging. You win by watching, by trusting your gut, and by walking away when her actions scream louder than her speeches. That's when power walks in, when you refuse to audition for a role you never wanted, and you stop donating your time to a story that can't pass a silent review. If this hit home, don't just nod and move on. Put your shoulder behind the movement, like this now, so the algorithm sends clarity to another man who needs it tonight. Subscribe, because every week we carve deeper into the strategies no one else will say out loud. Comment with your city and one sentence of what woke you up. Let the brother next to you know he's not fighting alone. And share this with a man you'd protect with your life. Manipulation thrives in silence. Truth spreads when men speak, share, and stand. Look at me and lock this in. Your instincts are not the enemy. You are not crazy for wanting what is normal. Your chest tightens for a reason. Your nights are restless for a reason. Let the pattern, not the pleading, decide your next step. Step back, observe, trust your gut. If she is aligned, you'll feel the peace return without force. If she isn't, distance will widen without a word, and your dignity will be intact when you choose the door. We are building a community where men don't second guess the obvious and don't rent their souls to confusion. Stand with us. Stand with yourself, and never, never let anyone convince you that confusion is love.